Welcome to the Mechanical Room. A Centrotherm production focusing on all things in and around the HVAC industry. And now, your hosts, Michael Sokaris and Matthew Pryce.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mechanical Room, episode 2. Matthew and I had a fun time putting it together last month. Hopefully we have a new and exciting show for you this month. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, Mr. Matthew Pryce, to tell us a little bit about what is on the schedule for the day.
Yeah, so we previewed this. Thank you, Michael. And again, it is a pleasure to be back here for episode 2. We talked a little bit about our guest for episode 2 in episode 1. He is somebody that when we thought about having a podcast, we immediately thought, well, we've got to have Terence on. Coming up in just a minute here, we're going to bring Terence Chan in from Impetus Plumbing and Heating out of British Columbia, Canada. He's got a lot of interesting stories and interesting experience in and around the mechanical room. Plus, he's a great guy and just a whiz installer and social media magnate, if you will. Really fascinating guy, friend to Centrotherm, friend to the show. And just a great contractor out of British Columbia. So we're going to welcome him in a second. And of course, we're going to also give away our first prize for the hashtag. That's what all the kids are doing these days, right? Hashtag show us your pipe, right? You want to recount or rehash what it is that contest is, and then we'll bring in our guest.
Sounds good. So last month we introduced the Show Us Your Pipe hashtag. And again, it is to showcase a craftsman doing their job very well. We had a lot of entries this past month, and Matthew and I scrubbed it through the stringent selection process that we have, and we do have a winner, and that will be the last, I believe, segment of the show for the month.
Absolutely. All right, we'll be right back with Terence Chan, Impetus Plumbing and Heating.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the Mechanical Room, episode 2. We're kicking off the series of guests we have with someone who I'm pretty fond of. I must say, a great contractor and social media star out of British Columbia. Today we have Terence Chan. He is the president and founder of Impetus Plumbing and Heating. They do it all: plumbing, heating, drainage, gas, and more. But above all, they strive for excellent on-time service while remaining easy to work with. Check them out, impetusplumbing.com, instagram.com/impetuspnh. And Terence himself is the social media star, instagram.com/the__impetus. He's on YouTube, he's on TikTok, he's on Twitch, he's on Facebook. You yourself, Mike Sokaris, was on Coffee with Impetus on Twitch. He's on LinkedIn, and they have great merch on their web shop. I'm a proud owner of an Impetus t-shirt. Thanks, Terence, for being on here. Mike, why don't you say hello to our guest?
Welcome, Terence. It's been a while since I saw you. Welcome. So tell us a little bit about, in your own words, what Impetus is and what you do in beautiful BC.
Well, as Matt said, there's nothing better what he said. We're a company that does everything that we can, plumbing, heating, gas, and much more. Straight down to the fact that why we're called Impetus is we want to be something that we're a force that makes something happen. And essentially the reason that I built a business was because I wanted to kind of change the industry, kind of change the outlook of what the younger generation is supposed to be within the trades. So Impetus pretty much stands for, us as millennials maybe trying to push forward into this trade industry coming forward.
That's amazing. And actually, I was going to ask where the name came from. So you already got out ahead of that.
A little bit. I've always talked about where it came from. Initially, when I always wanted to start my own business, I was always thinking about the word, because I was pretty good in chemistry. So there's always that word called catalyst that really rang in my head. So ever since I started plumbing, I knew that I was going to make a business one day. And for that 4 or 5 years, I've always thought about the word catalyst plumbing and heating. And because it was kind of like something that makes a chemical reaction occur. So pretty much the same concept of impetus. And it came the day where I was finally, 4 or 5 years into my trade, where okay, I had to put in the register for a business name, and I put Catalyst Plumbing and Heating, and obviously that did not work because some other genius was like, hey, well, we're going to be called Catalyst Mechanical. So then I'm like, oh shit, that was my dream for the past 4 years. What the hell am I going to do? So the next
You
thing
just gave me the perfect opportunity to use the bleep. I've been looking for that opportunity, so we're gonna get a good, fun mechanical room sound effect to put over that, and I'll do that in post production. That's great. And if you go check out Terence's LinkedIn, you could see his bona fides. I mean, you worked for a number of plumbing agencies. It seemed like, I mean, maybe 4 or 5 prior to starting your
Yeah,
own.
I did.
How did you get started in that? I saw that you were an engineering student as well. But there's engineering to turning wrenches and actually, like, gutting grease traps and things like that is a slight transition. How did you get interested in this stuff?
It was a transition. It was usually from my parents. So my parents weren't really plumbers or trades, but I guess my dad would be kind of like a secondary trade, I'd say. He works on arcades, so he works on a lot of control boards, and he gets these machines up, and we put coins into and play games and the usual things like screens and consoles and everything all together. And he had these partnerships with, I think it was like Sega and all these other Japanese companies like Tayo, I forgot what the names were, but it was all the games
Cool.
it was the games that you guys usually played back then in the arcade. And he'd buy all these machines from Japan and bring them over. But anyways, I guess that's kind of sort of where I got this kind of hands-on work experience from, because I kind of do a little bit hands-on with him here and there.
So this is not exactly related to the mechanical room itself, but your dad sounds like he had like an awesome job for a son to have. Were you like the coolest kid in middle school and you had all these arcade games for people to play with?
Oh, it was like I'd bring my friends over, and then we'd go to the arcade, and we had a crap load of tokens. So we go in and play games for free. The only side was, we had it was kind of interesting because that's where I kind of understood the business aspect of things, right? Where just because we had a lot of tokens and we could play all the time, it doesn't mean that we had to hog the machine, because at the same time, if we were hogging it and customers wanted to play it, then we would have been taken away from our profits, right? So now that I even think about it, there was a little lesson in there when my dad told me to get the hell off the machine when somebody's playing. And as a kid before, I was just like, no, I don't want to get off. I'm like, why the hell are we getting off for this other guy? It's not his, right? So yeah, it was good in that aspect where I kind of learned more about business. But going back to the story about engineering and all that, how I became to go to the plumbing side was, I pretty much failed the crap out of it. Played a lot of games, because I was kind of like a trapped kid within high school, really didn't go out, do much. And then when I was finally in post-secondary, you guys call it? I forgot. At university, let's just call it that. I did a lot of things I couldn't do before. And I think there was way too much freedom. I didn't know how to control myself, played a lot of games till 4 a.m. A lot of League of Legends, I would call that. Till 4 a.m. And then I wake up the next day at 8 o'clock, go write my chem exam, and walk out in 10 minutes because I literally don't know what the hell was on the exam. So after I dropped the crap out of it and I failed probably like 4 out of 6 courses, then my parents were like, oh, go try a trade, go do plumbing, because we know this plumber that makes good money, has a lot of houses, blah, 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 blah. So that's when I tried it. And even before then, I sat at home playing games for a while. I've talked about this in the old videos that I had, where I played so much video games that I kind of found out that it wasn't as much fun as I thought it would be. It became different where, I had so much time, but then other people were going to school and I wasn't doing anything. So it felt like either one, I was playing with myself, or two, waiting for people to come back to play with them. And it came to the belief where I had to find a job, and I couldn't, because 18, 19 years old, you don't know what the hell to do. I'm kind of scared myself because I've been working for my parents this whole time, and now I have to go and find a job, and I'm trying to find jobs and I can't, but I don't want to work at McDonald's because, there's that lack of confidence as well, thinking McDonald's was not the best job, right? So yes, I walked into the trades and I was like, okay, we're going to try plumbing. And if I was going to be doing plumbing, I want to be the best at it. And I really want to move forward in creating a business one day. And that's pretty much what led to all the other things you guys see on LinkedIn, where I have 5 other companies down there, because my plan was to get as much experience as possible. And sometimes life doesn't work out, but for me, everything worked out, and it worked out for a reason. I was able to get commercial experience, I was able to get sales experience, I was able to get residential experience, I was able to get residential service and commercial service. So literally all of the whole pie came in together, and when that happened, I knew I had enough ammo to create my own business.
Did you, as you were making this transition and you were trying to feel this out, did you have a mentor, or were you just making this up as you go? I mean, you're a young guy, you own a successful business, multifaceted business. How did you get it? Did you just discover it on your own, or was there someone there mentoring you through the process?
I literally would say I discovered it on my own. I never asked anybody for help. It's the kind of thing I kind of see online where everybody talks about it. Entrepreneurship is kind of inside you, right? When you need to ask for a mentor, sometimes it's not, it just becomes so much more different. It's not really you yourself that really were an entrepreneur, but you want to be one. Whereas, my thought process was, even when I was a kid, I always thought that, hey, I want to be the boss of something. Like, I wanted to own something. And I think that carried all the way through, where when I grew older, I knew that's what I wanted, but there were things along the way that kind of stopped me. Like when I had my sales job, it was really comfortable. And, that goes into a whole nother topic of how you make your employees feel and all that stuff. But I was so comfortable that I thought I would be a sales guy forever, actually. Right? Like I could work here for another year, another 3 years, then do my own company. I don't know. And in the end, I never did that. But during that time, since I was unhappy, the only thing I would say that really mentored me was maybe reading a book, right? Like I was so bored at KVC that time, selling ball valves and boilers and all that, but I did my job so well that I didn't really have much to do.
So when you say book, are you talking about like a marketing book, or are you talking about like, Don Quixote?
I wouldn't know how to explain it, but it was called Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's what it was.
Okay. Sure.
It's a lot of those starter books for
So
people.
you're talking about a specific book, not
specific.
not just books. You were good at it and sitting around. You had all this free time to not read books. Okay.
Yeah, I hate books in general. I don't like reading.
Well, that's funny.
Obviously, right?
Yeah.
You
kind of know how bored I was that I had to read a book, right?
That's funny. So that actually kind of dovetails nicely into my next question, and also harkens back to what you were saying about how this is sort of inside you. And there are a great deal of contractors and HVAC personalities on the internet, and there are many guys who are doing social media in a very effective way, right? And you are definitely one of those guys. So I was curious about, what's the impetus, the hybridization of this digital marketing, which that really is what social media is. You're marketing yourself, you're marketing your company, be it on TikTok and Twitch. And I must say that I really enjoy your content. It's informative, it's very personal, it's funny often, it showcases your great work. It's wide, and I have 2 questions about it. Like one, what's your favorite stuff to make? And in general, this is sort of a personal question, my own interest. How much post-editing stuff prior to posting on the internet do you do? Or is it all just improvised and, off you go?
That's a really great thing. Like I'll address even before the questions of this whole concept that I have of why I really want to do that marketing, because it kind of goes back to the beginning where we all talk about what I really want to push in the trade. And what we want to really show outside to people, that there's more to the trade than, just, again, like small things like soldering, right? Like we just want to bring it more vast to the rest of the people and show them. And for me as a business thing, as you probably know, back then I posted everything as Impetus P&H, right? And the reason that I wanted to step away from there is because I wanted to get something more wide range, where I didn't have to put myself into just posting about plumbing and heating all the time, because I feel like I had more of a character of something that I wanted to show people. And I don't want people coming back to me in my DMs all the time telling me, oh, you shouldn't post this on your plumbing and heating company. I mean, of course, it's none of their business, but at the same time, I can get that view side of it where, you know, maybe I shouldn't, right? Maybe I should really make a name for myself in that retrospect. And the whole reason why I do that, where a lot of people don't understand, and you know, I get a lot of this concept from watching videos online as well, is just that, you know, branding is a real way of pushing out your business. Everybody always talks about return on investment and all that crap, but like, oh, there's no easier way to explain it than the views, right? Let's just say,
Sure. Absolutely.
let's
I mean,
just say
I can speak to that just to cut in quickly. You did a video of one of our flex kits. It's got something like 56,000 views on Instagram. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not a joke. That is being seen by a larger amount of people that are in many, many cities in Canada. You know, that's amazing. It speaks for itself in that exact way.
Yeah, and then bringing that story back in, it's just like, what do you mean, what's the return on investment? Like, how hard is it to take your phone out and film 5 minutes and be able to get 56,000 views or even 100 views? And what return on investment? That was 5 minutes of your freaking time. Like,
Yeah.
Some things
Indeed.
are not quantifiable, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you can't quantify what the return is on 56,000 views. It's 56,000 views.
yeah, and let's just say
For
even 1,000. People see so little of it. Like, let's just say even 100. 100 people knew the fact that your name is Impetus. Like, each time that 100 quantifies and each time you post, it's different 100 people. Or even if it's the same people are more interested and they know more about your name. And that's where the return comes in, the brand recognition, right? It always comes down to that. Like, how do we know what the difference between a Mercedes and Toyota is? Like, I start putting that out a lot, right? It's because one side brands itself as more luxurious and the other side brands itself as more of a, you know, regular commodity where it's something that's has a long lifetime, long lifespan, people like driving it, it's stable, and the other one's luxurious. So that's the whole concept of branding as well when you're doing your business, and that's the way that I kind of want to brand my business, and the fact that, one, I can brand it by itself that it's luxurious, but two, I can also brand a personnel behind it that also speaks daily and kind of lives that life, not the luxurious goal lifestyle, but the lifestyle of what I really talk about and what I really am passionate for.
Sure.
So you as a business owner, do you look at old school advertising and marketing type techniques? Or are you all in on digital?
I'm all in on digital. I would not do anything old school. The only old school thing that I would touch, maybe I've thought about before, was just postcards, right? And I feel
Direct
like
mail.
yeah, direct mail. I think that was more for customers, and I feel like those don't really work. But again, when it's in the mail and somebody sees it, and if I make it black and gold enough, that's the marketing side that I want. I just want people to know that whenever they see the black and gold and they see the vans around, that they think of Impetus. I don't even care about if they think about what Impetus is. It's just I want them to know that black and gold is Impetus Plumbing and Heating.
Right?
Just like
Without
eventually,
seeing a logo, right? Without seeing a logo, everybody knows what this is, right? I just happen to have it on my desk here at home.
right.
exactly.
And
So
So that
eventually,
black and gold does jump out for sure.
yeah,
that's why when I
becomes
think about postcards, I'm just like, I don't really care about putting pricing or whatever on there. I just want to make it flash so that when people see it, they know it.
Sure.
Right.
You want Impetus to be like the swoosh, if you will,
Yeah.
which is amazing because you are doing that. And I know that you're doing that because I see it on your Instagram when someone else, another tradesman, has one of your stencil stickers on their, you know, be it in their truck or on the toolbox in the garage, whatever. You've got it such that they, you know, they're posting those photos and showing you that they've got those stickers on there. And another thing Terence does that I really like as well is and I have a question about this. Was there any pushback? Do you get pushback when you ask Impetus Chris, Impetus Daryl, and the rest of the team to have a bit of an Instagram presence for themselves? Are they into it as well? They buy right into it, and they're ready to start creating on their own, or is there a little bit of this is kind of what we do here, and I mean, whether you like it or not, I have to imagine people are ready to do it because it's fun. It's fun.
It's a bit of both, and it's actually a really great question at the same time, because it's really what my company stands for, right? when you're coming in, there is that pushback before, and that force from that pushback is now not really here anymore. I would say, and that's not because of the employee whatsoever. It's just, I think, the culture and everything that changes. And I think before, when we talk about Impetus Plumbing Heating, it wasn't really this concept. And as it grew more and more that we wanted to get more into that side of, let's just say, marketing, that's when it grew into this concept where I start hiring all these other guys, and before they come in, we tell them that this is what it's about, right? It's not just about plumbing and heating. It's just much more about you really trying to lead together with the company to be something that's more sought after for let's just say leading into the industry for the next generation, and really trying to change that aspect of everything as well. So pushback there was, yes. And moving forward, what we actually talked about in the new year of January, actually, it's actually really recent that we actually made it more mandatory for people to post. And that's why a lot more people have been asking me, why do you guys have Impetus P&H on there? Why do you guys have this there? And that's the whole reason, because me telling my guys that, it just meant I've made an impact already. It means people did realize it. And they have to realize themselves that it's part of the business and it's part of the marketing, and that it's not really about me trying to force them to do it, that it's part of their work now. It's just that that's what Impetus is about. Like, if you can't really do that, it's not that I don't like you, I don't want you, but we're not on the same page. We can't align, but this is what you join in for, practically, to answer your question.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, those guys are also creating great content. I mean, I know that you follow our page. When Impetus Chris posts a photo, I'll share it. It's, he's proud of his installation, just like you are yours, right? So
That's the
I
golden
think that's
rule.
great.
That's the golden rule, Matthew. The golden rule is, if you can't post it, then it's probably not good enough.
Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so back to that about posting and what gets posted. How much editing do you do? Just out of curiosity, on video stuff. I'm just curious because I do a ton of editing. I do a ton of
question.
I know. I knew that we were gonna go back to this
crop
one.
stuff. I do color correction. I mean, it really depends on what the kind of source material is or where it's going. Very rarely does something come to me that I can go and go right onto Facebook with it. I will generally do something to it, saturation or something to that effect. So just curious, because you're on all of the platforms. So they all have different requirements and different stylistic bits to them. So just curious about your process.
To be honest, I'm lazy as F, right? So I rather just make the freaking video and just post it up. And a lot of the times where you kind of see, I kind of reuse a lot of content right now, and that's really a way for people to boost their page, let's just say, because there is old content when you have new followers they don't see whatsoever. But when I do editing, I'd maybe say I spend about 20 to 30 minutes at most, or maybe even 40 if it's a really big video. And that's kind of why Coffee with Impetus kind of died down a little, because I had to do my renovations for my house. I don't really like this setup I currently have. It doesn't give me the vibes, right? So if I don't have that vibe, I'm not really vibing of doing a weekly video as well.
Sure.
But I do have a new idea coming out that I want to be pulling out there, but which I can't share yet.
Ooh.
Can we get like the early announcement here so we can take credit?
I'll do a little early announcement. I've been thinking about doing live reservations, like for Instagram. So live video reservations. So what I want to have,
booking a job per se, right?
Exactly. So
so the begin, not the end product. So you're talking about taking your viewers, your followers through the entire process, basically.
No, not that. I'm more so talking about, it's kind of like what we have right now, Have a Talk. I want to do more Instagram lives, right? So that I can make videos. But in relation to that, I don't want to be the one picking to do that. I want to give people a reservation window within a month where I want people to book in their times, right? So I'll put out 30 minutes, let's say a day, and then somebody can schedule themselves in that time slot. So it'll always be a surprise.
Well,
right?
I'll be ready to get on that one. I'll be happy to do it. I have all the effects ready for you on the in the video conferencing, so I'm ready to rock, man.
Yeah, so that's what I essentially want to do, and that's the real idea behind it, where I can get more followers engaged so that they feel like they want to be part of the show, and it's not really my picking process, right? Because if I were to pick, obviously, sometimes, I'm not going to lie, it goes to the fact that who are the ones that are really making a noise out there. But it
Sure.
doesn't mean I don't want to give love to the guys that also follow, and I think that they should be heard as well, because everybody has different opinions. And I think that there's always interest in those kind of opinions where are actually unheard of sometimes, right? Because
Sure.
they're just a smaller account.
So that's
Absolutely.
interesting you say that. You're almost crowdsourcing ideas, and you're opening it up beyond your kind of scope of what you may be thinking at any given time. You're opening it up to anybody to bring a cool idea, or crowdsourcing these ideas with
Oh yeah,
anybody that's following you.
yeah, whatever they want to talk about, right? Like, they schedule it
Interesting.
in, reserve 30 minutes, let's talk about business. Okay, if we don't want to talk about business, let's talk about daily life, let's talk about golf. I don't care what the hell it is, right? It's
And
just,
that also may open up avenues into, and this is me kind of thinking about this, correct me if I'm wrong, this is opening up an audience, maybe an idea in an audience to you to get the Impetus name out and to get your name out
yeah,
to a bigger cross section of people that you might not have reached before.
yeah. And I think that's my ultimate goal, right? Like, I don't want to keep standing in that really small niche of just plumbers and tradesmen.
Yeah.
The whole point of the Impetus is to really show what the trades world really is. And the more that we can get people that are not in the trades, the more impact we actually make. Because if
Or
I,
parallel trades too, right? I mean, if
yeah,
you could bring somebody in from the electrical side or from, wherever, a parallel trade that can learn from what you do or vice versa.
precisely.
That's one of the reasons I really enjoy the content that you make, right? It's not limited to grease traps and and that type of stuff, right? I'm the website guy at Centrotherm, right? I don't honestly know a tremendous amount of technical stuff about the mechanical room. I know some, but if it was all minutia that was really deep about the parts of a boiler or how this came together in a way, you might lose me. I like when you do, like, I'm at this restaurant and this is a food review, and that kind of stuff. Or you're in your truck, and the ones that I really enjoy are I mean, again, I like all the stuff that you do, but I like when you have sort of you're musing about what happened at the job today. And it doesn't, the job itself, what you did, installed a boiler, put in whatever, hung drywall, did whatever it is that you did that day, is almost irrelevant most of the time. It's the stuff that happened, the interaction between you and the client, something that happened with the team, that kind of stuff. It's like you offer very personal, real world experience stuff. Often you give advice, and usually you just sort of tell stories. And I mean, it's obviously very genuine, because it's all, I mean, usually pretty fresh when it happens. Like, like, I just left this job site and this is what happened, kind of thing, is one of my favorites. And it's funny because that could get, you've been angry at times, or upset about something, and then the flip side is, oh, I'm at Krispy Kreme with Daryl, and we're getting these delicious ones, and it's it's fun. So it's a good swap, and it humanizes you, and doesn't make you, it makes you a person, not
Yeah.
just an agency, not just an installer. And I think that's one of the reasons why you're popular and people like enjoy your stuff.
Yeah,
If I
I
can
think so too.
dovetail on that real quick, the concept of the mechanical room, our podcast here, is all things in and around the HVAC space and the mechanical room. And the reason why we thought we wanted you really early in on the episode is because you give a broad view on what happens in and around the mechanical room. And we're hoping that the show does a lot of things, I think. And one of the things we want to do is use it to kind of show the market what what can be done in and around the mechanical room, and show new younger generation tradesmen new techniques, new things to try. And that's why we were really, when Matthew and I were talking about guests, we wanted you early on our show list, because if someone is following you, and to a plug to your tools that you use, if someone is following you, they're seeing it all, right? They're seeing the really cool craftsman job, they're seeing the dirty and ugly jobs, and they're seeing you in a light mood, after the job as well. You create the programming that you do, if I can call it that. You provide a really nice, kind of full view, 360 view of what happens in the life of someone that's in the mechanical room. So we commend you for that.
It's really refreshing to see folks doing their day to day, but also your guys in these videos are genuinely having a good time, and like obviously the job is getting done, but then it's like, hey, we're gonna freeze this bottle of Coke with this, like, I don't know, nitroglycerin thing that you had or whatever it was. I'm gonna chill this soda with this tool that I have, and it's hilarious and it's funny. And then you get down, and what does that take? It took 10 seconds on Instagram for you to do that kind of thing, and then you get back to business and get it done. But everybody's laughing, having a quick break, and it's really, really interesting. I don't have access to that tool, so I was like, wow, interesting, So I mean, like I said, I think I've now just from memory pulled out maybe like 7 or 8 different posts of yours over the last however many months that that we've been acquainted, just because they are memorable like that, and that's really what the key is. The key is good content. So.
That's the thing about it though, right? Like, I think a lot of people think there's too much perception even when I talk to my guys about what content really is. I don't really think a lot of them is good content, but I just post it because it documents a lot. And I think that's a huge difference, because literally I might think this tool is a piece of shit, and I'll just post about it. But then it turns out like 10 other people think the same. Like, you never know. That's the biggest difference. And when I do the Coke thing, I don't think it'll pop off when I do, because there are times where I just say I'm gonna post this and I'm just gonna spend an hour on it, and it's just like TikTok. You find out that you spent an hour on something, but you had 100 views, right? And
Or
then
you
you
spend
find out,
5 seconds on something and it gets 10,000 or something.
yeah, and then for some reason you cut a golf ball and you get like 2 million views. Like, where the hell does that come from? You just don't know. So where I tell the guys is, it's not about you thinking what the perfect post is. It's about you just posting. Anything is different, because what you guys see is just what I just like to post. Like, you guys found it interesting, and that's what gravitated towards the fact that, hey, you're an interesting person. But all I was doing myself was just documenting what I do, pretty much what I do daily. Like, there's nothing different. Like, I don't do it just for the gram. It's because, hey, I really wanted to freeze that bottle of Coke. Somebody told me that you can freeze a bottle of Coke, and I'm just like, okay, well, let's try it.
That's sort of the same attitude that we have here for this podcast as well, which is why it's not limited to like specifically heat exchanger talk, and things like that, and the price of crude oil and how it affects, that kind of thing. We're not quite there, but it is a mechanical room podcast. So let's move towards the conclusion of this interview with a couple of actual.
I have one. I have a couple more.
No. We're not quite done yet. So go ahead, but I want to ask actually some technical questions or about some stuff in the mechanical room itself.
I'd like to shift to that direction too. So, you're in the field, you're seeing things changing, right? Newer generation of craftsmen coming in, technicians coming in. What are some of the trends that you're seeing from a business owner as it relates to the mechanical room that you're trying to adapt your business to? What does the mechanical room look like 2, 3, 5 years out versus today? What are the trends? What's changing?
You're just talking about mechanical rooms in general, or just a trade in general?
Even your business, mechanical rooms in your business. How is the business evolving? How is the mechanical room evolving?
The business is really changing in the aspect, and where it always ties back to everything that I talked about at the beginning, is really wanting to lead the industry and change it. And I feel like the fact that I want this change is there's too big of a gap for experience right now. And because we've come into the generation or the side where everything's about building investments and all these things, and everything is just moving incredibly fast. Everything revolves about money. It's always money, 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 money. And every business is about bottom line, right? And to be quite frank, I can call some companies out here, and especially wholesalers like the ones we use, like MCO, sometimes I get choked because I'm buying products from you, but you keep bringing shit products, which are fucking bottom line. And that shit makes me angry, because we keep having to buy these shitty products, and then afterwards you lose my business and you're asking me, what can I do more? I'm like, well, what the hell do you want me to do? You're not holding Viga, right? You're not holding these products that we actually like to use and we trust, but you bring out these other brands that we have problems with all the time, and then you say that we don't give you the business. Like, well, that's the whole idea of it. And it's not just revolving around these wholesalers, it revolves around these other companies. And that's why we try to make Impetus a different company that really trains the hell out of our guys, right? They might be young, but it's such a big difference when we have one guy that came as a fourth year, that came from a union company, not even union, or let's just say another company, and he's worked there for 5 years and he's a fourth year as well. You can compare Chris to any of those guys. You can compare Daryl to any of those guys. Our guys would run circles around them. And I'm not saying that for everyone outside. And of course, I'm not just trying to make that comparison, but it's just the trend that I see, the people that I bring in. The good guys obviously are all at the top, but sorry, go ahead.
No, I want to jump in there real fast because you yourself, self-starter, not you say you kind of looked internal, no specific mentor, but that's not true of your guys, is it? You're that guy now, providing that foundation of experience that and also, I mean, clearly seeing sort of the wide berth that a company like this can and footprint that it can have. So it's kind of funny. I wonder, is that something you consciously are aware of, that you kind of did it on your own, and now you're bringing up a team?
Yeah, I'm bringing up a team. I'm consciously aware of it, and that's what I really want to do. When a team comes in and they're a bunch of younger guys, like my age or really similar to my age, I don't think I know everything in life, but at the same time, I try to mentor in a way that I believe that I'm somewhere that I can help you. And I'm not trying to play God, but I'm trying to say that, hey, if you're coming into this company, then you have to believe me, right? And with that belief, I want to get you to somewhere as well, where it's at least the same space that I'm in and the same mentality of trying to let you know that there's more to life than just money, right? Because every guy that comes in, it's always everybody thinks, the thing about Impetus, when we think about gold and black, everybody thinks they're coming in and they're going to make a shitload of money. And that's one of the biggest problems, because they're coming in from another not another trades background, but they're coming in from another company that's paying them a lot higher. And when they come down, they're like, why is Terence paying me a lot less? But they don't understand that there's so much more that you gain from this company versus another company. And it kind of ties back to the fact that there's not enough experience out there. But sorry, I'm going all over the place here. But essentially, when we're talking about mentoring, it's really, I want to find a person that really knows what their plan in life is, right? I want them to come into this company having a purpose and not just a purpose of money all the time. I think
more than a job is essentially what you want to set this up is a bit more than a job. I mean, it is sort of there's an element of it that Impetus is kind of a lifestyle, is I think what you're trying to say here. And so I mean, I use Daryl and Chris because they're the ones that I know. I mean, I personally know Daryl. We met at the AHR show 2 years ago, I guess it was.
That was William.
Was that what? No.
Yes, that was Will, but he's no longer here.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. Are you sure about that?
I guess another way of saying it, maybe, and this is a conversation that Matthew and I talk about when we talk about marketing. What is the, what's the button that we're pressing? Is it an intrinsic motivation or is it an extrinsic motivation, right? And money is an extrinsic motivation where, quality and, your work that you do, does it provide you enjoyment? Is it more of an intrinsic?
Yeah.
So I get that, which kind of leads me to a question with something you said earlier that I don't want to escape. You mentioned distribution, and as you know, I spend a lot of time with distribution and reps and kind of our channel, our value chain, as I call it. But what do you expect? I think you alluded to something earlier, but what do you expect? You don't have to mention names, but what do you expect from a good distributor? What do you want from them, and do you get that in today's world?
One, I'm going to say no.
Quality products, and they, maybe not bringing the products that you want. And again, that's why I said don't mention any names. I don't want to get.
He had a pretty short answer there.
If I were to mention names, I mention all of them, right? Okay. Ardo Gibson, Emco, Wolseley, Andrew Sherritts, all of them are like that. It doesn't matter who they are. All of them always think about business, and I don't think it's wrong, right? I think money is definitely the thing that talks, right? But I think that, when you bring in products and you sell your guys or you sell your contractors, there has to be a reason behind it. Like, do you really want, it's the same thing as us branding. What do you want to brand your own company as, right? The one that's reliable and actually gives good products out so that you make good money, or you want to be that company that gives the shit products and actually you're making money off of the shit products because the contractor is also a cheap ass, right? Like I think there's that difference, and the hardest part is, you know, just for you guys and just for us, like you guys have the trouble of having people to stock, but we're having the trouble of having to buy the product because it's not stocked, because again, they're like, oh, we don't see an interest in that. And it's hard when you're a service company as well, because you just buy a variety of things. Everybody wants to have stocking power, but where the hell are you going to have a stocking power if you do a variety of things?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think a good company, like I've ran into a lot of people, they're good salesmen, and what they do is they really try to provide and get me what I need and really give me the best things out there. But the problem that always stops them is the fact that they have to fight against the politics above their head, where the magic can't happen afterwards for me. So if I want to bring in a product, it turns out now they got a slap on the wrist. No, you can't buy that product for Terrence. Like that's what always happens, I think, within the industry. And you know, it's something that's really hard to change.
So I got a question then. So obviously you're a friend to Inaflu and Centrotherm. When you're turning wrenches, when you're installing stuff, what else do you like? What other brands out there are ones that you would say that you are either loyal to or have an affinity for or turn to always? And what do you want that you can't get at those wholesalers?
Sorry, ask that question again. I need to hear the
So
beginning.
I'm just looking for parallel manufacturers, brands that would go into installations. You know, like I know you're a Navian installer, right? But what else? What other brands out there, tools and otherwise, do you consistently finding yourself turning to? And are there any that you can't that aren't stock where you want them to be?
I don't know, that one's a really hard one to ask. It's just tools in general, but manufacturers, I can tell you, like, you know, manufacturer or even tool manufacturer, I guess. I like to turn to a lot of manufacturers that really pay attention. And one, it's not the attention that I seek that you need to give me free shit. It's not the attention that I seek that you need to make a lot of noise. It's the attention of customer service, right? That's really big to me. So even if I didn't know you guys or didn't talk to you guys a lot, what I'd expect from any manufacturer is that if I were to have a problem, it's going to be dealt with. And it doesn't matter if I'm a smaller guy from Vancouver, it doesn't matter if I'm a one-man show. I want to know that you're going to take care of anybody that I pass over to you, right? Like if I have a friend that started his own business and he had a problem with Centrotherm, I don't expect Centrotherm to not call this guy back and wait a week or even 2 weeks, and then my friend tells me I don't have an answer. And then to me, that just would piss me off, because I'd just be like, well, Central Guytherms are really nice, but you know, they treat me really well, but why are they not treating this guy well? Then I feel like there's a lot of favoritism in there, and I feel like that's not what a manufacturer should be. It should be people who really care about it, right? And
Sure.
And one company I would always, it's not you guys, one company I would always call out is, I've always been calling them out, is Milwaukee, right? I don't ask free shit from Milwaukee, but I love calling them out, because every time I have a tool issue, you know, they have a sales guy or one guy that says, oh yeah, let's not have this problem, we're trying our best to do this and that, and then the same shit occurs. And then you come see on these Instagram things is, yeah, they have a lot of the biggest influencers in there, right? That are saying, hey, let's post
they got a very big marketing budget.
Yeah, you got a big marketing budget, you got the greatest guys out there, and I love those guys to death. I talk to those guys every day, and I don't hate on them for doing it, because at the end of the day, work is work, marketing is marketing. But there's those other people in the darker corners that are complaining about the tools, that they have tools broken and then there's no answers, right? Like you try to DM a company like that and it's that big, and for some reason they don't even answer their DMs. And I'm not saying DM's the only process, but what if I'm trying to reach out to people at the end of the day? Sometimes I don't even get answers back, right? And it feels like, yeah, sometimes when you get that pissed off, then one guy does answer you, but then the trend keeps going. You know,
Yes or no also, and you don't even have to elaborate. So you're bemoaning a little bit of customer service out there. You with an established company that does big installs, do you feel that you sometimes even get special treatment sometimes, and you still feel that way? You're a known commodity, right? People know you. I've seen you do giveaways and work with other manufacturers and stuff. Like they know who you are, right? You know, very big company. You do great work, and people know about it, right? And they notice.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're still experiencing some of these issues.
Yeah.
And that's despite having notoriety. So right. So what chance does the guy with no online profile, I mean, what chance does that person have? Is I think what you're maybe trying to say, right?
Yeah, I think like for me, I want the manufacturer to give everybody that chance, and I like to be that middle person sometimes, right? It's because if I really believe in your product, I want to believe in that you'll take care of anybody that has an issue. Um, Not just the fact because I'm favorited because I can help you do these giveaways whatsoever. It's just that if I had a problem and my friend had a problem and anybody else that's following me had a problem, I need you to get on that shit ASAP, right? Because I want you to have that same quality that you're giving me to anybody else. And that's what really drives me when I want to work with people.
Yeah.
That's a
So
pretty
shout
cool
out
thing.
to
That's more. It's more than about you. You're more. It's more about the industry and having good customer service for the industry, not just you, because you are recognized, for social media and for high quality and a large company, in your market. You want everybody to get that same
Yeah,
service to better the whole
I
industry.
don't want that bullshit of like, yeah, of course we get free stuff here and there, right? And that's the process of, because I'm not just gonna do free work too, right? That's business, right? When we talk about it, it's strictly business. But if I were to really work with your business, I really have to believe in your model, right? And at any time, if you're gonna treat somebody else that's different just because they don't have a lot more things, then I don't think I want to work with that company.
yeah, that
That's
makes
that's
sense.
just as plain and simple as it is, because then that company is not really in the same plane as I am, where we're trying to push the industry forward, right?
Sure, sure. All right, Mike, I got one more. So before, if you got anything else, now's your chance to get at them.
Fire away.
All right. So okay. So we've covered a wide array of stuff this afternoon, and I thank you for coming on. We we of course really enjoy what you do, both on the screen and in the mechanical room. I think this is a good way to wrap this up with this. I'm going to ask you to give some advice to two different subsets of the HVAC trade, right? I think it actually will really close this off nicely, right? So what would you have to say? What one piece of advice would you give to one, the up and coming apprentice type who's just getting, still wet behind the ears, who's, needs a lesson, and you're going to give it to him right now, and two, the grizzled veteran in the field who's been doing it since you were, in kindergarten or whatever it is, who's maybe stuck in their ways, right? So what piece of advice would you give the journeyman guy who's been around for forever, who needs a desperate, reimagining of a certain thought process, and then the rookie?
I think what it really boils down to is I would probably give the same advice, right? I always think you need to keep those ears open. And I know it's hard. Honestly, it's hard, even for me. Like sometimes I would just hear something and I just don't want to listen to it because I don't want to change, right? But I think a lot of people should put more time into it. And I think the trades guys just need to be a little bit more different in trying to put the message out. Like if I want something to change, it has to be more persistency. It shouldn't just be like, oh, you're a shitter. You're doing this stuff wrong. You're doing that wrong. I've done this for 10, 20 years. It should have been this. It should have been that. But it's not like where's the difference in mentality is, hey, why did you do this? Right? Like let's walk in your shoes first before I call you a shitter. Right? And I think that works for both ways, because as an apprentice, it's the same thought process of, hey, if you're a journeyman and I'm wet behind the ears and I don't know anything, I want to know why you did this as well, right? And I think there's more questions that need to be asked before judgment is put onto a lot of it, because yeah, they're crap. When we talk back about the mechanical rooms and mechanical rooms, is yeah, there are shitty installs out there. There are installs that make no sense. But I think sometimes it comes down to really knowing why that guy did it. It's just like it's more so asking. And a lot of times when I do see something wrong, I don't really put it onto the comments. I more so message the guy and be like, hey, I just was curious, how come you did this? For me, it's wrong over here, but it doesn't mean it's wrong over there. So why don't we chat about it? And then sometimes people are receptive, but sometimes people are not. Like and then they'll think that you're calling them out when all you wanted to tell them is what your experience was and what you want to learn. And that also ties back to the fact that why whenever I travel, I like to go to everybody else's business, because I want to learn about what these businesses do. And I think all of that is just trying to be more open to the knowledge there is. And I think there's always more than one way to skin a cat, as they call it, right? I also think, there's just so many people that are always set on, you must do this, and if you don't do this, you're wrong. And even the bigger names out there, right? Like everybody keeps saying that, and I think that's just the hardest thing, rookies or not, bigger guys or not. I think there's supposed to be more opening behind it, not just I'm absolutely right. I think everybody in the trades always wants to be absolutely right, but I think there's more behind it. And I think if you're trying to mentor somebody and you're telling them they're wrong, then ask why they did it first. That would be the ultimate advice.
So old guys and rookies alike, just keep an open mind, listen. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth, that kind of vibe, and don't be afraid to learn from a mistake and be open to new techniques and processes. That's
So both sides can learn from the other. The experienced person can learn from something fresh and new. The fresh and new person can learn something from the experienced individual.
It goes a long way. It's always, everybody always says that, right? But nobody ever does it. It's hard. It's the hardest thing for us to really conceptualize and really get it to work. But even if I say that, I can't follow it sometimes either.
Right. Easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how it is. But keeping it at the forefront, I mean, that is good advice, and I think it is good advice for both of those demographics. So it's funny that you hybridize those two very different sets, because you get somebody else different, and they might have some very specific words for the journeymans who are making the same mistakes and yada yada yada, or these whippersnappers who think that they know everything already and yada yada yada. So I think that's great advice
for the rookies, right? Like, keep your mouth shut and keep working. That's what everybody keeps saying when they're a journeyman. I'm like, well, come on, man. Like, it's different now, right? Like back in the day, obviously you keep your mouth shut because you don't have an area to find the experience. But right now, why would you keep your mouth shut if half the time that I could find all the stuff you're doing on Google?
Yeah.
True.
Fascinating. I mean, that's interesting. You present a really unique viewpoint from both in and outside of the mechanical room. So Terence, thank you so much for being here on the mechanical room.
Thank you very much. I guess before we cut out is what's the best way for someone to get in touch with you, follow you? What is your go-to platform, Instagram? How do people learn more about Terence and Impetus?
Anywhere. So everything that you've mentioned from before, LinkedIn, TikTok, shoot a DM or slide into my DM. That's what they call it. Or if you want TikTok, message on there. If you want LinkedIn, message on there. I think even on Instagram, there's that email function. And then on YouTube, just put a comment. I don't know. There's so many ways. Like, whichever way you try to message me with, you're going to get back to. Like, I leave no comments or DMs unturned. Ever.
You're giving that customer service that you so want out of your manufacturers right back to your following out in the webs.
I strive for what I say, like if I were to do that, I want everybody else to do that. And that's why I always think about, it's all about customer service for me, right? If I can do that, then there's no bullshit from you that you can't.
It's funny how we talk about a wide array of stuff, and we always come back to these, these sort of Aesop's fables, or these truths, right? Practice what you preach. Easier said than done, that sort of stuff. It's funny how these baselines are really just true no matter where you turn in and around the mechanical room and beyond, right?
It's true.
It's true. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you. Hopefully we'll see you up in Vancouver if the borders open soon. Hopefully.
That will be sometime soon. Thanks, guys.
We really, really appreciate it, Terence. I'll be in touch. Thanks so much.
Okay.
We'll be watching on TikTok and Twitch and LinkedIn and all on YouTube and all that stuff. You know it.
All right. I'll find you guys there.
All right. Yeah. Cool. Thank you very much for your time.
Well, Matthew, last episode 1, we talked about a promo that we're going to be running every month called Show Us Your Pipe, hashtag Show Us Your Pipe, where we would showcase a installation, either a very well done installation or maybe something from the Wall of Shame. In this month, I think we found something that's going to highlight something really nice. We had a lot of entries that we went through, and we did have a hard time picking one, but we did pick something out of New York City, I believe. So can you give us a little bit of info on our lucky winner for our first swag pack.
Sure, absolutely. I think you introduced that quite nicely there. I don't know that we're going to highlight the Hall of Shame necessarily. Maybe we can have a different
We'll
promo.
still collect
but
those pictures, I think. They're
yeah,
always fun to see.
we absolutely should collect those pictures. Have a highlight reel at the, maybe at the end of the
There you
year. The worst of 2021.
There you go. That's not
There's
bad.
actually a great Instagram account that's based in British Columbia. Ironically, our guest was from British Columbia. That highlights that Surrey's worst plumbers. Everybody check them out on Instagram. It's really, really funny stuff. So anyways, for the February episode of Show Us Your Pipe, the victor is Big City Plumbing and Heating out of New York, out of Southern New York, that is, Manhattan, Long Island. They have 3 offices down there, and this particular installation is in Brooklyn. It's a 20-unit apartment building with 4 common vented Navian tankless water heaters. I will, the link to that Instagram post is in the description here. So check it out. There's a series of fun photos there, including the beautiful exterior of the building. Then something I haven't actually seen too much. They spray painted the outline of where the rack system would go on the back of the wall, which would be kind of funky or strange, except the signature move for Big City is on display here with the gorgeous diamond plate behind the units. This is a great photo. It's a great installation. These guys are doing this all over Long Island, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, regularly. Mike Polidoro is the cameraman on this one. He's also the licensed master plumber and the founder and president of Big City Plumbing and Heating. They're at bigcityplumbingandheating.com. Go check them out. They're the winners for the February Show Us Your Pipe. Yeah, round of applause. Let's put it in there. Yeah, they'll be getting a pack of Centrotherm merchandise and of course all the accolades that come with winning Show Us Your Pipe. So episode 2 winners, Big City Plumbing, Mike Polidoro. Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations. Thanks for supporting us.
That was incredible. I think we really kicked off episode 2 here with a really, really strong guest. Terence, thank you so much for coming on. I hope you're still listening here. He's doing amazing stuff. I really recommend anybody who is listening here, check out the description and peruse those Instagram feeds. Not only will you see that really astonishing and well-crafted installation photography, but you'll see the fun stuff that he's talking about as well. We hit on cutting a golf ball in half and using, I don't even know what kind of frost machine, freezer device. I don't even know what that machine does, but he had it at the job, and then they chilled some soda with it, and they're all having a great time. You can see the camaraderie. You can see that they're proud of what they do. Impetus Plumbing and Heating, BC. Those guys are great. Thank you so much for coming on, Terence. We really, really appreciate it. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, very excited to have had Terence here. Thank you. Pretty compelling story. How he started off, what he's done with his businesses in plural, and where he's taking it, and how he's separating himself apart from the rest of the contractors out there. Thank you very much, Terence. And for episode 3, we're very excited to have Talbot Gee, the president of Hardy, who will be joining us to talk a little bit about that organization, what they do, some of the advocacy they do at Washington, D.C., where that organization is going. Pretty excited. So join us in March for episode 3. And also, do not forget, if you are doing your work out there in the mechanical room, tag us with Show Us Your Pipe. We will be picking our second winner in the month of March. So with that said, Matthew, I guess turn it over to you to outro us moving forward.
Yeah, thanks for everybody for listening. As always, this podcast is distributed by Anchor FM. You can listen there, and you can listen on YouTube and Spotify and Google Podcasts. And if there's another place that you listen to your podcast material that we're not on, please get in touch. You can email me at info@centrotherm.us.com, and I will make sure that the Mechanical Room is available on your favorite streaming platforms. And with that, it's a wrap on episode 2.